Hi everybody, welcome back to Collecting Canadian Cavalry and Armour. Today we're going to look at two regiments that went away in the 1930s, both cavalry regiments, and but they're from opposite ends of the country. We have British Columbia and New Brunswick. So we're going to take a look at the what would eventually become the British Columbia Hussars. And first, though, we're going to take a look at the New Brunswick Dragoons. Good unit, not around for a heck of a long time. Badges are kind of hard to find these days, but we're going to take a closer look at them. So, fellas, guys and girls, like I said, girls are collecting. That's wonderful. So this is a uniform for the 28th New Brunswick Dragoons. You can see the collar badges here. Basically the same pattern is, they kept the same pattern, but they just changed the number inside. Now these were also used as a hat badge before they developed the other ones in the 1920s. On the epaulets up here, you'll see that it's dark cloth with the go out with the yellow for cavalry, and there should be a number 28 on each epaulet. I don't have them yet. I'm still looking for them. You'll notice the buttons are very plain. There's no numbers or badges or anything on them, but it's a wonderful uniform that I was able to pick up from my friend Dave Horvath, who runs Toronto Military Antiques. Great guy. He's got tons of stuff, and he's very knowledgeable, and his whole staff very helpful. Now you can see here on the pants, they have the double yellow stripe here denoting the cavalry. So it's a wonderful addition to the collection, and again, very hard to find unit, the 28th New Brunswick Dragoons. So here we have the three badges that were worn by the New Brunswick Dragoons. Now this first pattern here, and you take particular note of the arrangement of the NBD on here. This one was a Canadian-made badge that was produced prior to 1926 authorization. Now, give you a little background on the regiment. They were formed in 1911 as the 28th New Brunswick Dragoons. Headquarters were at St. John, A Squadron Oromocto, B Town Gagetown, or I should say B Squadron in Gagetown. Have C Squadron in Fredericton, and D Squadron was in St. Stephen, but was moved to St. John in 1912. So just to give you a little geographical context to where these fellows were operating. The New Brunswick Dragoons, like I said, this badge was adopted ahead of time. And then when the badge was finally produced, it was produced by J.R. Gaunt in England. And this is the issue here. And again, take particular note of the arrangement of the letters in the very center. Okay, now this badge was used up until 1933 when they went to the horse. They changed it over and they used this horse, and that was only around until 1936 when the regiment was disbanded, and many of the squadrons of the troops were absorbed into the St. John Fusiliers. Now, in 1933, there was a helmet plate that was authorized, but there's no evidence that it was ever produced. Being in the mid-30s, we had the Great Depression, and the money just wasn't there. So, to take a look at the back of the Canadian-made badge, you'll notice that the lugs on the back are orientated north-south. Okay, on the J.R. Gaunt produced one, you'll see that they are east-west configuration, and you'll notice a small plate up there that says J.R. Gaunt, made in England. So that's the rear of these two badges. Now the rear of the horse badge, you can see, if you look on the body of the horse, it's I believe it says William Scully on the back, or Scully, Montreal. So those would be again, the Canadian one has no make or mark on the back. Okay, but these are the badges for the New Brunswick Dragoons. Like I said, they were only around, for a couple of decades, and they were absorbed or disbanded, and many of the members went to a different regiment. Again, these things are getting kind of hard to find these days, especially the horse one, because it only had been around for about 3 years before disbandment. Now, a lot of the information comes out of Booker's Badges of the Canadian Army from 1920 to Unification. Again, guys, get the reference material. It's so important. And these books by Chris Brooker, just fabulous. Fabulous for information. And again, guys, I just can't stress that enough, because some of these badges are a little hard to find, which means they're expensive. So you want to make sure you're looking for the right stuff. Back prior to 1911, there were many independent squadrons of mounted rifles in British Columbia, mostly in the interior on the mainland. These were amalgamated to form two different units, 1st and 2nd British Columbia Horse in 1911. Then in 1912, they became the 30th and 31st BC Horse. Now, the 30th Regiment of BC Horse eventually became the British Columbia Dragoons, and we'll take a look at those in a different episode. These guys here, the 31st British Columbia Horse, was authorized and raised and became the 31st in April of 1912. And this is the first badge that they wore. Actually, it's a collar badge. And as you know, with many units back then, just like we saw with the 28th New Brunswick Dragoons, many of the regiments just produced collar badges and wore those. If they did at all in the hat, they would just wear the collar badge. But this is the badge for the first badge. Now, on the back here, you can see that it's maker marked by William Scully, Montreal, and how the back is fairly solid. It's a nice, well-made badge with the maker mark. So when the badges were finally produced, they went from this pattern here to this one. And this happened sometime probably around the beginning of the First World War. I haven't been able to find any exact dates for this pattern badge to, when they did the transition. But you can see here the 31st BC LH for British Columbia Light Horse. Okay, and here's one of the collar badges. Again, we have on the back here, there's a little plate right there that holds that little piece of felt in that makes those the numeral and the letters there pop out a little bit more. And you can see the maker's plate here. It says J.R. Gaunt on it. And over here, we have a very interesting silk cigarette card for the regiment. Now, there was a run of these cigarette cards dating back from around the time of the First World War of the different regiments within Canada. And so when you find them, they come up once in a while, you see them. But I think it makes a very nice addition to your frame with the regimental hat badges and stuff in it. It's just a nice little extra thing that you can pop in. So in 1920, during the reorganization of the militia after the First World War, the 31st British Columbia Horse became the 5th British Columbia Light Horse. They kept the basic motif of the badge, the basic design, and they just changed things in the center here. Again, very nice two-piece badge with white metal on over top of brass. Now, the officer's version is silver, right, over gilt metal. So this is just an other ranks badge. Don't be fooled. A lot of people, if you see them listed on eBay or whatever, they'll call it an officer's badge because it's bimetal. But no, it's just white metal over brass was the other ranks. Okay, it would have to be a very shiny gilt metal for the officers. And again, if we flip it over on the back, we can see that this particular one has a slider on the back. Now, these badges with the slider would be for the Wolseley helmet. It would slide it around the Wolseley helmets. Each regiment had their own, it's called a peregrine, and it was a different color cloth, and this would slip into there. So this, with the slider, like I said, for the Wolseley helmet. And this is not maker marked. at all, but a very nice badge and a wonderful badge to add to your collection. Over here we have a collar badge, and then over here we have the brass shoulder title that they would wear on their uniforms. So the last version of this badge was produced in 1932 when the regiment was changed from the 5th British Columbia Light Horse to the British Columbia Hussars. For you people who have been following our episodes or our channel, you'll be familiar with this blazer crest. Wonderful to have that as part of the BC Hussars collection here. And here you can see the hat badge. Again, it's bimetal, got the white metal on brass. Then again, the officers would be gilt silver. It'd be silver on gilt. So here it is. Now this badge is not maker marked on the back at all, but that doesn't take away from the value at all. It's just a beautiful badge. You know, I would imagine that if I bothered to shine it up, it would be just spectacular. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the collar badges actually on a uniform. So here we have a blue patrol dress uniform for the British Columbia Hussars. You notice the collar badges up here, just kind of miniatures of the hat badge. You know, very nice with a setting sun type of thing there over the with a Tudor crown over top. They've got general service buttons on the pockets and down the front, as well as on the sleeves. And you'll notice the specialized cuff. Here you'll see the yellow underlayment, or just cloth, in the same shape as the arrows up here on the chainmail. Now this would reflect the facing colors of their traditional uniforms. And on the pants, again, some of the others, you'll see the double yellow stripe for cavalry, and these as well have still have the leather belt and buckle. This would go underneath the riding boots to keep the pants down when they were riding. So again, very, very fortunate to have been able to pick this up. It's another right place at the right time type of thing, and makes a wonderful addition to your collection. So guys, whenever you get an opportunity to put a uniform back to the way it should be with the proper collar badges in the proper places and everything else, definitely worth the time. Definitely worth the time. So everybody, hope you found this edition a little informative. We took a good look at some badges from regiments that haven't been around for almost 100 years, catching up on it. And it's a little bit harder to find, but still a very important part of Canada's cavalry tradition from provinces at either end of the country. So I hope you enjoyed it, and happy collecting.